Welcome you all to today's session where we will embark on an intellectual and poetic journey into the life and works of one of the English literature's most enigmatic and thought provoking poets, John Donne. So, today's lecture is not merely an exploration of poetry but an immersion into the depths of human emotion, philosophical inquiry, spiritual struggle, and linguistic innovation. Donne was not just a poet, he was a thinker, a seeker, a lover, a rebel, and ultimately a man of God. His works speak in whispers and echoes. They question, they challenge, they comfort, and they provoke. In an era where poetry was expected to be sweet, musical, and ornamental, Donne dared to speak in a voice that was raw, intellectual, intense, and metaphysically profound. So basically, he is the father of metaphysical poetry. Whether he wrote about passionate love or the fear of death, his words carried the weight of experience and the brilliance of a restless mind. So, as we begin, I encourage you to look beyond the surface of words, to feel the paradoxes he creates, to explore the conceits he weaves, and to reflect on the timeless question he raises about love, faith, the body, the soul, and the eternal quest for meaning. Let us dive deep into the world of John Donne, a world where wit dances with wisdom and poetry becomes philosophy in motion. So today we will delve into the fascinating life and literary brilliance of John Donne. He was born on 22nd January 1572 and died on 31st March 1631, and the place was London, United Kingdom. He is one of the most influential poets of the early 17th century. Known as the founder of metaphysical poetry, Donne's work transcend time through their intense passion, intellectual complexity, spiritual depth, and inventive imagery. So let's talk about his personal life and the background. So to understand John Donne's poetry, it is essential to first understand the world to which he was born. A world full of religious conflict, political tensions, and cultural transformation. His personal life, especially his Catholic upbringing and eventually conversion to Anglicanism, had a profound influence on his worldview and writing style. So, John Donne was born in 1572 in London into a wealthy and devout Roman Catholic family at a time when Catholicism was severe oppressed under Queen Elizabeth I. His father, John Donne Sr., his father, John Donne Sr., was an ironmonger by profession and a prosperous businessman. His mother, his mother Elizabeth Heywood, came from an illustrious family. She was the great niece of Sir Thomas More, uh, the famous Catholic martyr and author of Utopia, who was executed by Henry VIII for refusing to accept the king as the head of the church. So, this Catholic lineage would mark Donne's early years with both pride and peril, as Catholics were often persecuted, fined, and excluded from public life. So, Donne lost his father at the very early age when he was just 4, after which his mother, Elizabeth Heywood, remarried. Despite the hostile religious climate, his family ensured he received a thorough and classical education. He was sent to Hurt Hall, now it's known as Hertford College, then Oxford at the age of 11, and later to the University of Cambridge. However, due to his Catholic faith, he could not take a degree, as students were required to swear the oath of supremacy. So this is the reason why he couldn't get his degree. So acknowledge the monarch as the head of the Church of England, something Dunn could not do in good conscience at the time. In 1592, in 1592, he was admitted to Lincoln's Inn, one of the inns of court in London, to study law. This legal training greatly influenced by analytical and argumentative style of writing, especially visible in his poetry and sermons. So during Dunn's youth, Catholics faced systematic discrimination in England, and laws forbade them from holding public office, attending universities, or practicing their faith openly. So his own family experienced tragedies linked to their religion. His younger brother Henry Dunn was imprisoned for harboring a Catholic priest and died in prison. And this is an event when deeply affected John Donne and perhaps sowed the seeds of spiritual crisis and later transformation. So, as a young man, Donne also traveled abroad. He participated in expeditions against Spain under the command of Earl of Essex, including the Cadiz expedition, which happened in 1596, and Azores campaign in 1597. So these travels exposed him to the larger political and theological tensions of Europe. Um, it broadened his understanding of both worldly affairs and spiritual concerns. So we can say that Donne was not just a poet; he was a true Renaissance man. He was proficient in Latin, Greek, theology, philosophy, and science. So his early poems written during this period are full of wit, learned references, and metaphysical conceits, hallmark of his distinctive style. John Donne's early life was marked by personal loss, religious tension, and intellectual ambitions. So his early life was marked by personal losses. These experiences laid the foundation for a man who would later wrestle in both love and religion with the deepest questions of existence. From a Catholic child who suffered for his faith, he grew into a poet of unrivaled complexity whose work continues to provoke, to challenge, and to inspire readers centuries later. So, John Donne's career trajectory is as fascinating as his poetry, marked by ambition, and uh, failure and inner turmoil. Ultimately, spiritual awakening. His life is a powerful narrative of transformation from a courtier to and secret lover to a renowned preacher and dean of St. Paul's Cathedral. So let's examine this journey in detail. After completing his legal studies, John Donne hoped to secure a career at the royal court. He worked as a secretary to Sir Thomas Egerton, the Lord Keeper of the Great Seal, around 1597. This position placed him in the heart of English political and aristocratic life. During this time, he led the life of a stylish, witty, worldly young man, writing what he now call his elegies and satires. These poems are often challenged conventional morality, ridiculed courtly love, and demonstrated his intellectual prowess. So, in 1601, Dunn's career faced a severe blow. He secretly married Anne Moore, the 17-year-old niece of his employer, without her father's consent. So, this act led to his imprisonment for a brief period and he was promptly dismissed. So, the act of secret marriage led to his imprisonment for a brief period. He was promptly dismissed from his position, and then Dunn famously wrote to his wife after being released. The line is, John Dunn and done undone. So this is the famous line. Later on, he spent ordinary life with low income. He had 12 children in 6 years of his marriage. He began to write two but unpublished on 15th August 1617, when Anne Dunn was delivered to her 12th child. She was dead. So he was very sad due to his wife's death, which is shown in his Holy Sonnet 17. This famous quote, John Donne, Anne Donne, undone, it reflects not only his emotional and financial ruin, but also the beginning of a love struggle to rebuild his life. The couple lived in a poverty for several years and had 12 children, of whom many died young, a source of great sorrow and reflection for Donne. So, Donne was born and raised as a Catholic. Donne gradually converted to Anglicanism during his adult years. This transition was not sudden. It involves intense spiritual and intellectual struggle. The death of his brother in prison for harboring a priest, the failure of his court career, and the instability in his personal life all intensified his spiritual crisis. His writings from this period, particularly the Holy Sonnets, so the Holy Sonnets reflect his inner conflict. Those are fear of damnation, yearning for salvation, and the anguish of being spiritually lost. His conversion was also pragmatic, as Catholics were barred from public office and Donne needed employment to support his growing family, as he had 12 children. He had a very huge family. So in this time period, he rise as a religious writer and a preacher. Donne was encouraged by King James I and others in court to take holy orders. After much hesitation and introspection, he finally became an Anglican priest in 1615, right? So this marked the beginning of a new phase in his career. He was appointed royal chaplain and eventually became the dean of St. Paul's Cathedral in 1621. This is one of the most prestigious position in the church, England church. So his sermons became legendary not just for their religious depths but for their literary brilliance, philosophical insight, and rhetorical powers. Donne's career reflect a broader movement in his poetry, from profane to the sacred, from carnal love to the divine love, from skepticism to faith. His early poems celebrates sensual love and mocked religious drama, right? So his later poetry and prose, especially the Holy Sonnets, the meditation, devotions upon emergent occasions, are steeped in Christian theology, mortality, and the hope of redemption. John Donne's career is not just a series of jobs and titles. It's a testimony to human resilience and spiritual evolution. He transformed personal failure into poetic greatness and spiritual doubt into powerful sermons. His journey from the glittering courts of London to the pupil of St. Paul is the journey of a soul in search of truth, a journey mirrored in every line of his writing. So now we will discuss the literary style and metaphysical poetry. So as I told you that John Milton is the father of metaphysical poetry. There was a time after Elizabethan age and just before the Jacobean age. In between there is a time when highly intellectual poets like John Donne, Andrew Marvell, George Herbert wrote their poems which are highly intellectual and having high worth. So, uh, but they never publish their poems. Never publish uh, their work published after their death. So John Donne lived in poverty and humiliating deepens. He relied on the support of noble patrons. So after his death, uh, Samuel Johnson gave this term metaphysical poets to these poets, as these poets didn't know about themselves that they are metaphysical poets. तो मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्स में कई सारे नाम हैं, जैसे जॉन डन, एंड्रू मार्वेल, जॉर्ज हर्बर्ट, रिचर्ड कैश, हेनरी वॉगन, अब्राहम कॉर्ली, थॉमस, जॉन क्लेवलैंड, ऐसे बहुत सारे हैं. सो ऑल दीज पोइट्स यूज टू follow John Donne's writing style. That is why we can say कि जो जॉन डन है वो फादर ऑफ मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्री है. ठीक है. मेटाफिजिकल का मतलब ही होता है बियॉन्ड द फिजिकल वर्ल्ड. मेटा का मतलब होता है बियॉन्ड और फिजिकल का मतलब है फिजिकल वर्ल्ड. तो जो पोइट्री बियॉन्ड द फिजिकल वर्ल्ड का आइडिया रिप्रेजेंट करती है, हम उसको मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्री कह सकते हैं. सो जॉन डन इज़ रिगार्डेड एज द फाउंडिंग फिगर ऑफ मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्री इन इंग्लिश लिटरेचर. His literary style was revolutionary for his time, breaking away from the smooth musicality of Elizabethan poets like Spenser and instead embracing complexity, intellect and emotional intensity. In this section, we will explore Donne's unique literary style and the defining characteristics of metaphysical poetry, a term later popularized by डॉक्टर सैम्यूल जॉनसन. जैसे मैंने बताया ना, जब ये लोग पोएम्स लिख रहे थे सभी लोग, तब ये टर्म नहीं थी कि ये मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्री है. ये जॉन डन की डेथ के बाद डॉक्टर सैम्यूल जॉनसन ने इस टर्म को पॉपुलराइज किया, और उसमें सबसे ऊपर जो पोएट्स थे मेटाफिजिकल पोएट्स, इसमें सबसे ऊपर नाम था जॉन डन का, बिकॉज all these poets, they have actually followed that writing techniques, the idea of John Donne, right? So the term metaphysical refers not just to metaphysics, which is a branch of philosophy, but more broadly to the poetry of ideas. जो पोइट्री डील करती है विद द एब्स्ट्रैक्ट कंसेप्ट, जैसे कि लव, डेथ, रिलीजियन, टाइम, द सोल and existence. So Dr. Samuel Johnson in the 18th century coined the phrase metaphysical poets to describe a group of 17th century writers or poets like John Donne, George Herbert, Andrew Marvell, Henry Vaughan and others. So he admired their wit but criticized them for being far-fetched and intellectually dense. However, modern critics, especially T.S. Eliot, revived their reputation and hailed Donne as a genius of poetic intellect. So, core feature जो है डन की लिटरेरी स्टाइल का, वो है like he use the metaphysical conceit. A conceit is an extended metaphor that draws a striking parallel between two apparently unrelated things. So Donne elevated this device to an intellectual art form known as the metaphysical conceit. For example, a valediction forbidding morning, a poem by John Donne. In this poem, John Donne compares the soul of two lovers of the two legs of a mathematical compass. So it's not only clever but also deeply symbolic of spiritual unity despite physical separation. So Donne's poetry is marked by harmonious fusion of intellect and emotion, what T.S. Eliot called a unification of sensibility. He does not write from detached observation. His poetry is deeply personal, born of lived experience and inner conflict, particularly visible in his holy sonnets, where he pleads with God with passionate intensity. Many of Donne's poems begin in medias res, in the middle of a thought or situation, and sound like a dramatic monologue or personal conversation. इसका सबसे अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है द सन राइजिंग. इट ओपन्स विद अ कमांडिंग lines, O busy old fool, unruly son, why dost thou thus? So this direct address, use of rhetorical questions and shifts in tone make his poetry lively and engaging. So Donne revels in paradoxes, statements that seem contradictory but reveal a deeper truth. So we can see the paradox in Donne's poetry of divine imprisonment as liberation. It reflects Donne's complex theological thoughts. So Donne's poetry is densely packed with reference from philosophy, science, theology, alchemy, and astronomy, law, and classical literature. So these allusions reflect his Renaissance intellect and legal training. Unlike Elizabethan poets, Donne did not always follow smooth and melodious meter. His lines in his poetry often exhibits abjabment, abrupt pauses, and irregular rhythms. He mimics the pattern of natural speech. Critics once saw this as roughness, but modern reader sees it as deliberate stylistic innovation that lends intensity and realism to his voice. So let's talk about themes in Donne's metaphysical poetry. The first theme is love. Love in all dimensions. Donne's poetry represents love in all dimensions: sensual, spiritual, courtly, platonic, and divine. There is one more theme in Donne's poetry, that is religious and mortality. His spiritual conflict is most visible in the holy sonnets and the devotion. Death is also a very important theme of his poems. This is a recurring theme in poems like death not to be found and the union of body and soul. Unlike later Puritans, Donne celebrated the sacredness of physical love as an expression of divine union. So we can assume that because of his writing, his unique style of writing of poetry, Donne's influence, we can see his influence on later literature. Donne's metaphysical style was now widely intimated in the 18th century, but he was rediscovered in the 20th century by modernist poets like T.S. Eliot and Ezra Pound. Today he is celebrated as a pioneer of psychological depth and poetic realism, and his metaphysical poetry, the metaphysical style has come to define an entire movement. So Samuel Johnson, appreciated Donne's wit but found his poetry too intellectual and lacking naturalness. T.S. Eliot too praised uh, Donne for restoring unification of thought and feeling which modern poetry had lost. So Donne की जो legacy है ना poetry की, it lies in the fusion of science and soul, reason and passion, the worldly and the divine, which is a rare balance even in today's literature. John Donne's literary style defied the convention of his time. He used poetry as a laboratory of thoughts or fusing love, faith, science, and philosophy into startling new combinations. So his metaphysical poetry, it's not just a genre but a worldview where human experience is explored in its fullest complexity. His intellectual daring, emotional honesty, and spiritual depth have secured his place among the greatest poets in the English literary canon. So his poetry is profoundly intellectual and intensely emotional. His themes are not only reflected of his personal experience, which are love, religion, illness, guilt, and mortality, but also of the cultural and philosophical tension of early 17th century. His poems transcend mere expression of feeling. They interrogate reality, demand engagement from the reader, and blur the line between physical and metaphysical realm. So let's explore the major themes in Donne's poetry. The first one is love. Love. So love in Donne's poetry is represented as physical, spiritual, and sacred. Donne's early poems often explore bodily desire, sometimes with wit and irony, sometimes with intense passion. इसका सबसे अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है द फ्ली. In this poem, Donne transforms an ordinary image, a flea, into a bold conceit of sexual union. In poems like Valediction, Forbidding Morning, Donne elevates love beyond physical, portraying it as a union of soul that transcends space and time. सेक्रेड और डिवाइन लव की बात करें तो जो लव है इन डन्स लेटर पोइट्री ऑफन ओवरलैप्स विथ रिलीजियस लॉन्गिंग, ठीक है, एंड especially in his holy sonnets where the speaker expresses love for God in terms of yearning, surrender, and fear. So he pleads for spiritual purification through divine violence, a paradoxical mix of love, guilt, and grace. The second theme of Donne's poetry is death. So death is a recurring preoccupation in Donne's poetry, not just as an end of life but as a passage into another realm. This is a site of philosophical inquiry. So in death, be not proud, Donne personifies death and mocks its power, asserting the Christian belief in resurrection. So death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty, dreadful, for thou art not so. So he demystifies death, portraying it as a mere sleep before internal awakening. Donne suffered from frequent illness and spiritual fear. These anxieties appear in his poems. These writings are a blend of autobiographical pain and theological reflection. The third theme of his poem is religion. So religion is not a mere background in Donne's poetry, it's a central and often agonizing concern. His shift from Catholicism to Anglicanism reflect in his poetry as a spiritual struggle and the need for divine intervention. So in his poems, Donne confesses sins and begs for mercy. His voice is anguished, intimate, and theologically exposing the inner war between sin and salvation. ओके, अब इसका हम कोई मेजर वर्क डिस्कस कर लेते हैं. सो John Donne's poetry spans diverse genres like love poems, religious sonnets, epigrams, satires, elegies, divine meditations. So here are some of his most celebrated and frequently studied works along with comprehensive analysis. The first one is The Flea. So this is a love poem, or we can say it's a dramatic monologue. In this witty and audacious poem, the speaker tries to seduce a woman by arguing that since a flea has already bitten them both and mixed their blood, they are virtually united, and thus she should not hesitate to consummate their relationship. इस पोएम की जो थीम है वो है फिजिकल लव वर्सेस सोशल मोरालिटी, विट एज seduction, the ट्रिविलाइजेशन ऑफ सिन एंड शेम. यहाँ पर इसमें आपको मेटाफिजिकल कंसीट देखने को मिलेगा, आयरनियन पैराडॉक्सेस देखने को मिलेंगे, ड्रामेटिक स्ट्रक्चर मिलेगा. ठीक है. सो दिस पोएम शोज डांस अर्ली स्टाइल विच आर बोल्ड, रिबेलियस and sexually charged, often subverting conventional morality through clever rhetoric. Second poem is a valediction forbidding warning. So it's also a love poem written for his wife before a journey. This poem assures her that their love does not depend on physical presence. So their souls are interconnected and expand like gold beaten to thinness and और लाइक द लेग्स ऑफ अ कंपास. यहाँ पर भी कुछ थीम्स जो एक्सप्लोर हम कर सकते हैं, लाइक स्पिरिचुअल वर्सेस सेंशुअल लव, सेपरेशन एज एलिवेशन, फेथफुलनेस एंड इनर कनेक्शन. यहाँ पर मेटाफिजिकल कंसीट्स भी हैं जैसे गोल्ड, कंपास, और कुछ काम एंड मेजर टोन भी है, लाइक इट रिफ्लेक्ट्स फिलोसॉफिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ लव. और जो कंपास है दैट इज़ अ सिंबल दैट सिम्बलाइजेज, इट बिकम्स एक्चुअली एन एम्बलम ऑफ कॉन्स्टेंसी एंड यूनिटी. सो डन रीडिफाइंस रोमांटिक लव एज इंटेलेक्चुअल एंड मेटाफिजिकल, rejecting superficial expression of passion. The next poem is Sun Rising by John Donne. The speaker scolds a rising sun for disturbing him and his lover, claiming their love is more powerful than time and the cosmology. So यहाँ पर we can explore some themes like love as a microcosm of the universe, defiance of time and authority, supremacy of emotion over reason. यहाँ पर आपको hyperbole और apostrophe और metaphysical arrogancy सब देखने को मिलेगा. So it's a classical example of Donne's erotic and intellectual blend challenging Renaissance cosmology. The fourth is canonization. So here the speaker defends his love against critics by arguing that lover can be canonized like saints since their passion is pure and transcendent. So the themes here we can explore: justification of love, spiritualization of physical passion, immortality through poetry. यहाँ पर आपको लिटरेरी डिवाइस से पैराडॉक्स मिल जाएगा, एज लव बिकम्स अ पाथ टू सेंटहुड. इमेजरी रहेगी यहाँ पर, ड्रामेटिक टोन रहेगा यहाँ पर. सो थ्रू दिस पोएम, this poem blurs the sacred profane binary and proposes poetry itself as a medium of canonization. The fifth poem is actually it's a group of poems, holy sonnets. इसमें कई सारे poems हैं. This is a group of 19 sonnets which written in early 17th century, reflecting Donne's theological anxiety, guilt, hope and yearning for divine grace. इसमें कई सारे sonnets हैं जैसे कि death be not proud है इसमें, और better my heart, 3 person God ये भी है इसमें, और इसके अलावा द एस्टेसी भी है इसमें, विच इज़ अ फिलोसफिकल लव पोएम। और इसमें हिम ऑफ गॉड भी है, माई गॉड इन माई सिकनेस, ये रिलीजियस मेडिटेशन है। और भी इसमें कई सारी पोएम्स हैं। सो दिस इज़ all about for today's class. John Donne's major work displays the breadth of his intellect, the depth of his emotional and spiritual struggles, and the daring innovation of his style, whether writing of erotic longing, metaphysical truth, or divine submission. Donne's poetry is always probing, paradoxical, and profound. His unique blend of argument, imagery, wit, and theology has influenced poets for centuries, from T.S. Eliot and Ezra Pound to modern day readers rediscovering the uh, raw humanity in his verse. In short, we can say that John Donne's literary journey did not follow a linear path of admiration and fame. His reputation ebbed and flowed with the changing tides of critical fashion and literary taste, from being celebrated in his own era to being dismissed for nearly 2 centuries, and finally being revived as one of the greatest English poets. Donne's legacy is both complex and fascinating. So John Donne was merely a poet. He was not merely a poet. He was a philosopher of the human soul, probing the passions of the flesh, the doubts of the mind, and the longings of the spirit. His legacy is that of a man afraid to ask the hardest question about love, God, life, and death, and to wrestle with them in the crucible of poetry. As we conclude our detailed exploration of John Donne's life, career, poetic style, and legacy, and one thing become unmistakably clear, that Donne was not merely a poet of his time. John Donne was a poet far ahead of his time. In his verses, we find a clash and fusion of the body and the soul, of intellect and emotion, of the secular and the sacred. His poetry does not offer easy answers, but it demands that the reader engage deeply with both the content and with themselves. From his early life, marked by personal loss and religious conflict, to his remarkable transformation into a revered cleric, Donne's biography is itself reads like a poem, full of contradictions, revelations, and metamorphoses. His literary contribution, especially within the realm of metaphysical poetry, reshaped how poetry could function, not merely as ornamentation of feeling, but as an exploration of philosophical, spiritual, and existential truth. So we have seen how Donne's metaphysical conceit, his paradoxical images, and his radical merging of thoughts and feeling created a poetic landscape that is intellectually rigorous and spiritually resonant. We have also understood how his work survived rejection and neglect, only to be rediscovered and rightfully celebrated in the modern age. So, Donne's poetry teaches us not to feel deeply, but to think bravely, to confess love, loss, doubt, and death, not with fear, but with curiosity and courage. His legacy remains a beacon for poets, thinkers, and seekers who dare to look beyond the surface of things. So, as we continue our literary journey tomorrow, we shall delve into one of the Donne's most celebrated and intellectually rich poem, The Canonization. So, in this poem, Donne elevated love to the level of sainthood, defying social judgment and offering a radical vision of sacred romantic union. सो कल हम कैनोनाइजेशन पढ़ेंगे. सो बी प्रिपेयर टू एनालाइज हाउ डन defends his love through clever argumentation, the spiritual undertones of sensual love, and the poetic techniques that make this poem a metaphysical masterpiece. So keep your literary minds ready and your analytical instincts sharp. John Donne awaits us yet again with wonder, wit, and wisdom. Thank you.